Hi, everybody, and welcome to In Sarah's Tent. My name is Nancy, and I have Sandy here with me. Hi, Sandy.
Hi, Nancy.
We call our podcast In Sarah's Tent because Sarah was a righteous woman, and the she and her husband had the trait of hospitality, and their tent flaps were open to welcome visitors. And then there's a candle in our logo inside the tent showing that Sarah would teach, people would come into the tent and she would teach the women. So we're learning Torah in Sarah's tent. So that's the reason for the name of the podcast and the reason for the logo. So we're currently in Genesis, and Sandy is going to read for us. We're in the 17th chapter.
Oh,
Sandy?
yes, Nancy, but before we read that, I would like to go back and correct something from last week, if I might take just a couple of minutes. Last
Sure.
week, we were talking about in at the beginning of chapter 17, where Abraham is told to walk before Hashem and be perfect. And I made the comment that the Hebrew word there for perfect was tamid, which means continual. Well, that was incorrect. When I went back and looked at it again, the word there, the Hebrew word there for perfect is tamim, which does mean perfect. So I just want us to always, when we realize we've made a mistake, I just want us to go back and correct it, because I want what we do to be honest and truthful and not misrepresent anything. So,
Thank you for that. Thank you for checking that.
okay. Okay, we're going to read Genesis 17:15 through 17. And God said to Abraham, as for Sarai, your wife, do not call her name Sarai, for Sarah is her name. I will bless her, moreover, and I will give through her to you a son, and I will bless her, and she shall give rise to nations, kings of people from her will arise. And Abraham fell upon his face, and he laughed, and he said in his heart, can it be that to one of the age of 100 years a child shall be born? And can it be that Sarah, who is of the age of 90 years, shall give birth?
All right. So last week we talked about Abraham's name being changed to Abraham from Abram to Abraham. And now we have Sarai's name being changed to Sarah. Names, like I said last week, are important and they indicate a change of some sort. So, do you have any thoughts about Sarah's name change?
Well, I was wondering, since the name has changed, does that mean her purpose has changed? And is it the first time that she has been mentioned in connection with the promise of this son? Is this the first time she is mentioned as the mother? We've read before in previous verses where Hashem tells Abraham, you will be the father of many nations, but I don't think it mentioned who the mother would be. So is this the first time we know who the mother of this child is going to be?
I think that you're onto something there because Sarai offers Hagar as a way
Right.
to fulfill this promise. So you're right. Maybe she wasn't mentioned as being the mother, but now she is.
Yes, now we know who the mother is also going to be. So,
So I had a couple of thoughts on this particular topic. Um, it's interesting that um, Jewish identity comes from the wife or the mother,
yes,
and it flows from the mother. And a Jewish mother has a Jewish child, no matter who the father is.
right.
But a Jewish father only has a Jewish child through a Jewish mother. I wonder if that's when this starts.
Hmm.
because the promise comes through Sarah.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, maybe so. I had not thought of it like that, but yeah, that's a interesting question there.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything about the history of that matriarchal passing of the Jewish identity, but that might be here. And then another thing that I wanted to mention here was last week I said a little teaser about the name change, and each one of these names received a Hebrew letter Hey.
Right. Yes.
So Abraham got a Hebrew letter and Sarah got a Hebrew letter, and they're both the Heys. Well, I have heard rabbis talking about the four-lettered name of Hashem has two Heys in it,
Mm-hmm.
and having Abraham get one Hey and Sarah get another Hey indicates a close relationship that Hashem has with this couple, with Abraham and Sarah.
Good point. And it does indicate a close relationship, a close a feeling of I trust this person to give them part of my name. I was thinking of when a man and a woman get married, she takes his name. He trusts this person he's chosen and loves her enough and trusts her enough that I trust her to wear my name, to
Yeah,
give her my name. So I kind of saw that in there that it's obvious. It's like Hashem is saying, I trust you to have part of my name.
yes.
But there's something that happens in these two verses that Abraham laughed. And I've wondered about that laughter in the past. Did he think this was a ridiculous idea? I mean, he kind of comments, well, about how old he is and how old Sarah is. So is he laughing because what a ridiculous idea that two old people like us are going to have a child? Or is it a laughter of joy? What did you
Uncle,
think, Nancy?
well, Onkelos, one of the commentators, has translated that word laughter as rejoice
Okay.
because he believed. And the questions were more of astonishment and wonder and gratitude, not of doubt.
Okay, good.
What do you think about it?
Well, I like that. From what we have learned about Abraham, it doesn't seem that suddenly he would have this lack of faith and trust in Hashem, that he's seen enough things happen in his life that nothing's impossible with God. And if God says we're going to have a child, so you can imagine that it would be out of joy and rejoicing because this woman that he's loved all these years and has wanted a child with, now he's going to have this child with this woman, not a handmaiden, but the woman he loves so much. So I like thinking that it's out of just sheer joy.
Yes, I like that. Shall we move on to verses 18 and 19?
Okay. Verse 18. And Abraham said to God, if only Ishmael might live before you. And God said, in truth, Sarah, your wife, will bear you a son, and you shall call his name Isaac, and I will establish my covenant with him as a covenant that is everlasting for his offspring after him.
All right. So Hashem doesn't answer the question. Abraham is suggesting maybe Ishmael
Oh, yes.
could might live right before Hashem, and God doesn't answer that yet. He will, but not at this point.
Well, let me throw this idea out there, Nancy. We were talking about Abraham hearing this news with joy, and if he really felt confident that this was going to happen with Sarah, then why would he even bring up Ishmael?
Well, I think that, I mean, Ishmael's 13 years old at this point.
Right.
So Abraham, like any father, wants the best for his son. and he's raised him for 13 years. There's got to be a close bond between him and Ishmael. So probably he just didn't want Ishmael to be left out, maybe.
Right, right. Yeah. Yeah. That's a good way to look at that. Yeah. Is it just sounds so poignant. If only Ishmael might live. It's like, so when this new child comes along, are we just to toss Ishmael out? Maybe that's kind of what he's thinking. I can't just toss my son out. So yeah.
Yeah.
So
And we have the name of the baby.
yes, it's Isaac. And this
Yes.
ties back again to laughter.
Yes.
Yeah. So do you think he's given this name because Abraham laughed, or just because of the joy? I mean, you said ankelos translates it rejoice or joy. So
Could be. But I think it's interesting that that Hashem names the baby, that Hashem tells Abraham, this is going to be the name of the baby. And yeah, I like that because it's based on Abraham's response, his laughter.
yeah. Yes. Oh.
And again, we have it's an everlasting covenant.
And for the offspring.
Mm-hmm.
We keep seeing that over and over and over. Everlasting for him, for his offspring. Yeah, after him. Okay. Shall we move on?
Yeah, let's do 20 and 21.
Okay, let me find my place. Okay, so okay, 20. But regarding Ishmael, I have heard you, indeed, I have blessed him. I will make him fruitful, and I will increase him most exceedingly. 12 princes will he beget, and I will make him into a nation that is great. But my covenant I will establish with Isaac, whom I bear to you, whom bear to you will Sarah at this time in the year that follows.
So Hashem is now responding to Abraham's suggestion that Ishmael might be included in some way. And he's saying, yeah, I'll make him great as well.
Yes.
But great in a different way.
I think it's interesting that Hashem acknowledges Abraham's concern for Ishmael and doesn't just dismiss him. But okay, I understand how you feel about this son, and I've got plans for him too.
Yeah, that's a comfort, I think.
Yes. Did you notice he's the number 12 in here? There's going to be 12 princes that will come from Ishmael, and later we know Jacob will have 12 sons. So I'm wondering if there's a correlation, 12 and 12. We know everything has to always be in balance. So I'm wondering if there's a connection there between Ishmael's 12 princes and Jacob's 12 sons.
Very much likely so. I think that Ishmael has a head start.
Yes.
Over that because the 12 sons of Jacob doesn't come until the next generation after Isaac.
Right.
But I do like that. I like balance.
Yes. Yes. And we're talking about that God listened to Abraham in his concern about Ishmael. And I think our listeners know we exchange our notes before we bring this. And I like in your notes that you tied that to Ishmael's name means God will listen.
Yes, I think that that names are very important. And I do believe that Ishmael has a very special name.
Yes.
And here God did listen and respond to Abraham about Ishmael and blesses him. very much.
Yes, and I like how he these verses he's reassuring Abraham. I'm taking care of Ishmael. You don't need to worry about it. He's going to be blessed and be a great nation. So kind of easing Abraham's concerns.
If you remember, Hashem did the same thing with Hagar.
Yeah.
He reassured her that her son would be great, that
Yes.
but he would be kind of a hard person to live with.
Mm-hmm.
That was a wild ass of a man or something like that.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
Um, that he would be a little bit more on the rough side. But so he's assuring both parents that Ishmael's going to be taken care of.
Yes. Good. Shows us how God is involved in every concern that we have. He's aware of it, and it's like God saying, "I got this. Don't worry about it. I've got it. Whatever you're thinking, I've already thought of it and got a plan for it."
Right, right.
Yeah.
And then Hashem says that the baby's going to be born this time next year.
Yes.
So we get a time frame. And it's not like, what was that, 13, 14 years ago when Hashem said, you're going to have a son, and then nothing, 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 nothing for all these years.
Mm-hmm.
But now we've got a time. Okay, it's going to happen this time next year, which
Yes.
is kind of a reassurance that it's not some unknown time in the future. I don't have to wait too many more years. No, it's going to be this time next year.
Yes. It's a good point. Good point. So, are we at what verse are we at, Nancy?
22.
22.
Just the
okay,
one verse.
sure. Oh, I thought you had something else. Okay, one verse. Okay, he finished speaking with him, and God ascended from upon Abraham.
What do you think that means?
Well, I don't know. Was Abraham, I thought was Abraham asleep? Was he dreaming through, was he in some trance-like state or having a vision? I don't understand exactly how God talks to a person. He has no voice. He has no vocal cords. And if it says he ascended from him, well, that implies he had been on him and now ascending from him. So I'm depending on you to enlighten me on this, Nancy.
As if I know. Yeah. I don't know what it's like to have a conversation with the Almighty or
Yeah.
how that works. But there appears to be different ways that
Mm-hmm.
Hashem talks to people. And how he talked to Abraham was different than how he talks to Moses or the prophets. And I think there are different levels, and maybe we could do that in another podcast or
Mm-hmm.
find a podcast that we can recommend on the different ways that Hashem reveals himself or has a conversation. But I
Mm-hmm.
think that's a topic for a different podcast. But I do want to say that he does this again when when Hashem and Abraham are talking about discussing and negotiating about Sodom and Gomorrah.
Mm-hmm.
And when there's this negotiation about, well, don't destroy it. We'll have this in a couple of more weeks. Don't destroy the city if we can find 45, 40. And he goes down and does this all
Right.
discussion.
Right.
And then Hashem finishes and he just gets up and leaves. So here it's like Hashem finished speaking and he just got up and left.
Well, and you made me think, I think it'll be in our next, we'll start a new Parsha next time. And here's a little preview of that. Abraham kind of does that to Hashem in the next Parsha, where he's speaking with Hashem and he sees the three strangers coming. And he says,
Oh, right.
wait a minute, God, don't go away. I'll be right back, but I've got to take care of this. So kind of went both ways.
Yeah, that's
We'll
interesting.
delve more into that next week. That's just kind of a teaser for next time.
Yeah.
When is it okay to say, "Excuse me, God, I'm going to put you on hold for a minute"? And it just, to me, it speaks to the kind of relationship that Abraham had with Hashem.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Now, the rest of the chapter just tells us Abraham is doing what Hashem told him to do. Do you want to go ahead and read 23 all the way just to the end of the chapter?
Okay. Then Abraham took Ishmael his son and all those servants born in his household, and all those he had purchased with his money, all the males among the people of the house of Abraham, and he circumcised the flesh of their foreskin in the midst of that day, as God had spoken with him. Abraham was of the age of 90 and 9 years at his circumcising the flesh of his foreskin, and Ishmael his son was of the age of 13 years when he was circumcised of the flesh of his foreskin. In the midst of that day was Abraham circumcised with Ishmael his son and all the men of his household, he who was born into his household and he who was purchased for money from an outsider were circumcised with him.
All right. So Abraham does what Hashem had asked him to do.
Mm-hmm. I think it. Do you think there's? I was thinking of that, and you mentioned it before. Ishmael is 13, and that's the age Jewish boys have their bar mitzvah. I wonder if this is the source of 13 for the age of bar mitzvah. I'm really not looked into that. We might ask Rabbi Wolbe or one of our other rabbis that helps us. Have you done any research on that? Is where the age 13 for bar mitzvah comes from?
No, I have not, and I don't know. I do know that Ishmael's descendants circumcised at the age of 13 and not at the age of 8 days.
Okay.
And that's from this, but I don't know
Yeah.
about the bar mitzvah.
Yeah, I don't know either. It's just the both happening at age 13 kind of caught my eye.
Yeah, yeah. So I have a question. If the circumcision is the sign of the covenant and Ishmael is circumcised, doesn't that make him part of the covenant, even as just a member?
Well, I asked that very question of Rabbi Wolbe a few weeks ago because
And
it does seem like if circumcision is a sign of the covenant, then anybody that is circumcised would then be included in the covenant. And he came back with a very emphatic no, that the covenant is through Isaac. But God had commanded that they all be circumcised, all males be circumcised in the house. But that did not necessarily, or did not mean that they were of the line of from Isaac that the covenant would come from.
Yeah, I get that. But can't you just be a member and not be in the line? Like a convert is not in the line.
No, but a convert, my understanding, is then considered as though they had been born into the line.
Okay, so all of these slaves and everyone born in his household and all these, they were all in the line, or these not included in the covenant?
Well, we may just have to put a pin in that for now, and I'll go back and find the email. I had emailed Rabbi Wolbe about that. So I won't take time tonight to go back and find that email again with his full reply, but he was very emphatic that no, Ishmael was not part of the covenant.
Okay.
So we may just have to kind of put that on hold for now.
Okay. So, yeah, maybe circumcision is not a sign of the covenant. It's just one of the mitzvahs that
Well, but
covenant people do.
it does call it the sign of the covenant. Didn't he say back somewhere where we read that this will be the sign? Or am I just remembering that from maybe, I don't know. Oh, yes, right here. Verse 11, you shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and that shall be the sign of the covenant between me and between you. So, yeah,
Yes.
I think,
Question.
yeah, I think we wandered into, we paddled in some deep waters here.
Oops.
We're going to have to have some help to get out of it. But that's what we like about this. We challenge each other and we
Yeah.
think, okay, I've never thought of that before. Let's go check that out. So,
All right. Well, we have come to the end of the chapter and the end of the Parsha. So we are finishing the Parsha of Lech Lecha, and next time we'll be in Parshas Vayera
Aaron, okay,
and chapter 18.
very good.
So, Sandy, what's your takeaway from tonight?
Well, my takeaway goes back to the age of Abraham and Sarah, where according to anything reasonable and logical, we would say there's no way those two people could have a child. But with God, there's nothing that's impossible. Even when we think there's no way this could happen, um, Hashem has the ability to make it happen if that's what He wants to happen. It will happen. And your takeaway?
Mine's very similar, but with just a little bit of a different angle to it. I said be open to blessings and be rejoice with gratitude when the blessings come.
Okay, very good. Yeah.
All right. Anything else, Sandy, before we close?
No, I think that's all. I will, if I don't find the email from Rabbi Wolbe, I will ask him again. And maybe we'll have an answer for next week about is Ishmael part of the covenant?
Very good. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for listening to our podcast. And we will see everybody next week in Sarah's tent. Bye.
Bye.